Hello and welcome to another episode of Cascadia Mountain Weather. It is Friday, December 6th, and this photo captures the kind of conditions we've been seeing. We've been in a very extended, dry, high pressure system. And typically, high pressures are associated with warmth. But at this time of year, the sun is so weak that it's not necessarily the case. So, what we've seen a lot of days is lowland fog because that cold air is denser and sinks to the bottom. And it's often been much warmer at altitude. This is a satellite imagery photo from Thursday. And you can see that eastern Washington up to the passes is just shrouded in this dense fog, probably going up to about the 5,000 foot level, it depends on different areas. But, the air has been very cold down there beneath the fog. They haven't seen the sun for a long time. And then in western Washington, we've also seen some of that fog. You've probably noticed some cold, foggy mornings. And some days it burns off. Other days it doesn't completely burn off, kind of hit or miss, depends on where you are. The temperatures have been really interesting to follow. So, kind of last weekend, we had some cooler temperatures, which was nice. You could see that the temperature was still mostly right side up, meaning it's colder up high. But then it started to change. We had a little bit of inversion Thursday to Friday, and then it really went inverted starting around Sunday. And so now, over the past few days, the Alpental ski area has seen temperatures in the mid 40s, almost up to like 50 degrees, over 50 degrees on Wednesday. At the top of Alpental, whereas the base of Alpental down in that cold fog has sat in the mid 20s. This is a huge temperature gradient, and it is kind of classic for this time of year where the sun is really weak and just can't really warm the surface. But this is also one of the longer periods that we've seen this happen in the mountains. So it's been interesting to see how that affects our weather. So this is Paradise and Camp Muir, and they don't have as much access to the east side cold weather, but you're still seeing some extremely warm temperatures at elevation. Camp Muir hit 44 degrees at one point on Tuesday, and Paradise has been, in the 40s to 50s for many days. Despite these warm temperatures, we really haven't lost much snow depth. We went from 70 inches a week ago down to 59. And most of that's just like snow compaction. We really haven't lost much snow water equivalent. That's because the sun is so weak at this time of year and the snow pack has been relatively cold. So people were, despite those warm ambient temperatures of, mid 40s and stuff, people were reporting in the shade finding dry powder through that time period, which is really interesting. I mean, the solar aspect started to get a little crusty, a little bit warm, but it was really impressive to see how long dry powder could live on those north aspects in the shade because the sun's so weak right now. So looking at our snowtail map, it's kind of a mixed bag, but it really depends on elevation. So below, 4,000 feet or so, most of our snowtail sites are not doing very well for this time of year. But that's not a big deal because we're still early season and often snow levels aren't very low at this time of year. So for example, this west central zone at 65%, most of those snowtail sites are in the 3,000 feet. So that's why we're not doing so well. There's a lot of red dots, and those tend to be really low elevation snowtail sites. But then like, the higher elevations, especially like North Cascades, South Cascades, Olympics, generally snowpack's looking pretty decent. So it's kind of a mixed bag at this point.
Yeah, so transitioning over to the weather for this upcoming weekend, we're getting some interesting weather again. As Kyle mentioned, it's been maybe 10 plus days since we've really seen any significant snow in the mountains, maybe even a little bit longer. Pretty long dry stretch for this time of year. But this evening, Friday evening into Saturday, we'll see this front. So we're having the storm system right here that is currently kind of moving into Vancouver Island, and it's going to sag south. And at first, it's going to bring pretty warm temperatures and pretty high snow levels. But as that front continues to sag south, we'll get onto kind of the backside of this, where we'll see some cooler temperatures, lower snow levels, and some snow actually beginning to accumulate in the mountains again. So this is just going to kind of look at like give us an estimate of when the precipitation is going to come in. So this is 3 hour increments. This is currently looking at 1 a.m. tonight, 1 a.m. Saturday morning. And you'll see that by 4 a.m., precipitation has moved through much of the area. It's coming in from the north and dropping south. And it will kind of hang out in the mountains throughout Saturday morning and throughout the day Saturday. We'll get a brief break kind of early Saturday night into Sunday. and then we'll see more showery things that tend to end up having cooler temperatures and lower snow levels. We can actually look at this from this diagram right here, where our gray colors are our rain, and then our green and blue and colors like that represent our snow. So these, you can see that by like 4 a.m. Saturday, almost everything that's falling in the mountains is falling as rain because our freezing levels are going to be up near 10,000 feet. Then, as we move a little bit further into Saturday, you can see the snow levels starting to drop. Mount Baker up here starts to appear. We get to start getting some snow down near Mount Rainier and especially in kind of the far eastern North Cascades. And those temperatures will continue to drop. This is 1 p.m. Saturday, 4 p.m. Saturday. And you'll see that by now snow levels have dropped to about 4,000 feet just as we're reaching sunset. And then as we continue moving forward overnight Sunday into, or sorry, overnight Saturday into Sunday, now our snow levels are down around 2 to 3,000 feet, and almost the entire area is getting snow. And kind of those snow conditions will depend on exactly on Sunday, which definitely looks like the better day, will depend on exactly how much snow falls after those temperatures drop. If we look at accumulated snowfall over this entire period, you'll see that those snow levels start to kind of move west as that elevation drops and those snow levels drop as well. And so this is by 4 a.m. Sunday. So 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. Sunday, when people might be going out. A lot of areas might have kind of anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of new snow. And that snow will continue to fall through Sunday, with some areas picking up kind of maximum of about 1 to 2 feet, maybe a little bit higher at the highest elevations. We can also look at snow levels through this graph. This line shows the snow levels, and this is 4 a.m. Saturday morning. So 4 a.m. right here, and you can see that, as I mentioned, snow levels are up around 10,000 feet. As we go to 10 a.m. Saturday, they've dropped to maybe 6 or 7,000 feet. And then by 4 p.m. Saturday, they're in that 5,000 foot to 4,000 foot range, that sweet spot for us to see accumulating snowfall. And then it continues to drop to kind of that 3,000 foot level, maybe a little bit below. And this is for the North Cascades. So if you're further south, expect maybe a couple hours difference on this time frame. Then looking out further, you'll see that as we go into Monday, so this 4 a.m. Sunday, this 12/08 December, and this is 4 a.m. Monday, you'll see that once again, we will have a little bit of a break. Our snow levels will bump up pretty high again before the next round of precipitation moves through next week. And looking at temperatures, pretty standard for this time of year. Like I said, the temperatures will be dropping, so expect Sunday to be your coolest day. This is for Snoqualmie Pass at about 3,000 feet. And you can see that it's actually about a 10-degree drop from the previous day, if not a bit more. Monday holds on to that, and then we have the chance of precipitation moving in the following days.
Thanks, Wyatt. So right now the avalanche danger is pretty low because we really haven't seen any fresh snow in 10 days or so, but it's definitely going to ramp up over the weekend. It really depends on how much fresh snow we see. Now, the fact that we're going to have rain, then heavier snow, and then lighter snow typically is good for stability, but there could be pretty high winds. There's a lot of uncertainty with how the snow will react with the existing interface. NWAC has been reporting, crusts on south aspects, maybe isolated areas of hoar on norths. But there is the hope that the rain will kind of destroy any surface hoar before the snow can follow on it. Still, there's definitely anytime you have these extended dry spells with a relatively thin snowpack, you're going to start to get weird layers in the snowpack. So this will definitely be something to track going forward. And yeah, looking out long term, it appears that, we'll be in relatively seasonable weather, definitely a bit active for the next in the 6 to 10 day period. And then long term, kind of staying looking active. It says above average here in the temperature, but don't be too alarmed. It doesn't look like we have like atmospheric rivers or anything coming our way. So, maybe it's a few degrees warmer than normal, but it's still a pretty cool time of year. This is the quantitative, this is the total precipitation, looking out through Monday in over a week, so about 9 days or so. Yeah, it's a pretty decent total. We're looking 4 or 5 inches in a lot of the mountains. So finally, I'd like to give a thank you to all of our supporters. All these individuals get more detailed weekend recreation recommendations where we discuss kind of the nuances of the snowpack, where to look to go skiing or trail running or climbing and stuff. So if that sort of thing interests you, we encourage you to check out the link in our show notes. And we hope you have a great weekend.